Hello class, this is Dr. Benavides and this is my week 6 check-in video. So I have graded your week 5 discussions as well as your week 5 older adult annotated bibliography assignment that you submitted a few days ago. Please go and look at my comments in your paper to see why, just to any comments I might have made, and look at the rubric. If you lost points, the rubric will direct you in terms of why, in what section points would have been lost in. I think one of the things that I see that several students struggle with, and not just in this class, but in other classes when doing annotated bibliographies, is not so much the summary part, but the critique part. As I mentioned in my other videos when we're talking about annotated bibliographies, and in my comments to several of you in the practice annotated bibliography exercise that you were submitted in week 1, the critique is your own critique. It should not be reiterating what the authors stated as their limitations, right? All journal research articles or journal articles will have a section that says limitations, where the authors acknowledge the limitations of their work, of their research, of their article, of the findings. And that is not what your critique is. As I've mentioned before, the critique is really should be your own thoughts on, and this is just in general. Some people utilized the author's section on limitations as a critique, and as I mentioned before, that's not what a critique is. And some individuals just didn't include a critique, but more just continued the summarizing of the article. And so critique in and of itself is, as I mentioned before, was your sort of perception of this article, and if it was useful for your own purposes. Did it help you understand the subject matter better? Did it help you understand your interviewee better? Did it help you gain an understanding and awareness of the subject? That's part of the critique. Was the research article or the journal article, was it reliable? Did the information it provide, is it something that you could say, I feel comfortable in using this, I feel it is reliable? And also, are the authors biased, or are they objective? And how do you know this? And therefore, what does that mean for your own purposes of using this journal article? So it's important that, in other classes you might be using annotated bibliographies. I made comments if you lost points and what areas you lost points in. So important to look at that again and really, learn how to do annotated bibliographies. All right, so this week we are moving forward with emerging adulthood, and there is a week 6 discussion on emerging adulthood. So you are to, by Thursday, after completing the readings and watching the videos for this week, answer these questions. What kind of variations in emerging adulthood would you predict within your country? Would there be social class differences, gender differences, and/or ethnic differences? Do you agree or disagree that emerging adulthood is likely to become a life stage experience worldwide in the decades to come? What factors are likely to determine whether this turns out to be true? And what has been your own personal experience with emerging adulthood? So you've read about emerging adulthood. There is some additional reading about emerging adulthood if you click on here. You are encouraged but not required to respond to any peers in this discussion. This is due by Thursday of week 6. And the reason that there's no required to respond to any peers for this particular discussion is because the week 6 older adult oral video presentation is due. Okay, so the older adult oral video presentation is due Sunday of week 6. I have spoken about this assignment throughout the course, during my weekly videos. And I just want to reiterate again a few things that I've mentioned before. Make sure that if you have not submitted your the consent form for your interviewee, that is done as soon as possible. Submitting the presentation without having submitted the consent form will result in a failure of this assignment. So if you have not submitted the consent form, you must do so as soon as possible. You're to use a template to create the PowerPoint. You know that you just click on this and it'll take you to the template. Also, just as a reminder, in your presentation, you're to use something like, Screencast-O-Matic, like what I'm using, or Canvas Studio or Zoom, whichever one of these that you want to use your video. Whatever you use to record your video, you're going to upload your video through Canvas Studio. And that Canvas, when you upload it, your PowerPoint presentation, so what you'll do is, however you record it, either using Canvas Studio or Zoom, you will then upload your PowerPoint, you will upload it to Canvas Studio. Canvas Studio will give you a link for your video. In your PowerPoint presentation that you will submit under the submission for this assignment in week 6, you will upload your PowerPoint, and in your PowerPoint presentation should be the live link to the Canvas Studio link for your presentation. Okay, you are able to use quotes from your interviewee to show that you are integrating what you've gained from your research with the interviewee's actual life experiences. What you are not able to do, however, is provide any identifying information about your interviewee. So no video or oral audio of your interview talking or discussing anything in the interview should be linked with your PowerPoint presentation. You can quote him and use direct quotes, or her, your interviewee, but you cannot upload any audio or video of your interviewee. Remember, your presentation is not the actual interview that you did. Your presentation is where you are putting together what you have gained through the course in your understanding of development with your interviewee in your interviewee's life. You will focus on one chosen developmental stage of Erikson's biopsychosocial theory and address the important experiences from this developmental stage, difficult challenges and accomplishments during this stage, factors or events that have facilitated or inhibited the resolution of the psychosocial crisis of the developmental stage. Those things would include issues of diversity and difference. How did those facilitate or inhibit the individual's successful development? Include how oppression may have shaped the interviewee's life experience, and apply a multi-system lens to examine how family, community, institutions, and our larger social policy and social forces helped or hindered the interviewee's life aspirations or opportunities. This is all part of your discussion on and you addressing your interviewee's development through that life stage. In addition, as I mentioned before, you are to identify and apply one additional theoretical perspective. It does not need to be discussed in each stage of their life cycle, but apply it to the same life cycle stage that you're using Erikson's, okay? The next part is to discuss the limitations of one of the two theories. So you can focus on your additional theory or Erikson's theory to discuss limitations of how that theory can really help you understand, assess, or how it hinders a complete understanding and assessment of your interviewee's life, okay? So it's all here. This is due by Sunday of 11:59 p.m. In week 7, by Thursday, you are being asked to upload the same PowerPoint presentation in week 7 discussion. And that every person will upload their own presentation, and each person will respond to several of the older adult oral video presentations as that week's discussion post. All right, that's all for now. Tomorrow is, please send me any questions that you may have, and remember that the assignment, not due tomorrow, I don't know why I said tomorrow, it's due Sunday of this week, of week 6. All right, take care.